What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Welcome back to another episode of The Red Carpet. And just as we're going live, it's like it's timed perfectly, isn't it? Timed perfectly. I can press the breaking news button.
Breaking news.
It goes on for a while, folks. It just goes on for a while. I need to shuffle papers or something. Yes, according to Ben Jacobs, maybe, because we've made this mistake before, maybe an improved offer has just got in for Bryan Mbeumo from Manchester United. This comes from Ben Jacobs and Alex Crook in coordination with TalkSport as well, saying Manchester United have now improved their offer for Bryan Mbeumo to over £60 million. Talks have accelerated in the past few days and will continue this week. Of course, if we hear anything else, we shall let you know whilst we're live, but this is the beauty of being live. Marcel, I'll start with you, and big up to the panel, big up to James, big up to Deb, big up to Marcel. KG somewhere. You never know. He could show up. We'll see. Marcel, I'll start with you. Last week, you said you wanted to hear from Omar Barada. We heard from him. You also, spoke about Bryan Mbeumo next. Looks like that could be happening. How are you feeling?
Good. Finally, there's some movement happening. Big up everyone. Big up the chat. I hope everyone in the Man United universe is doing well. Obviously, we're kind of at a snail pace with all the business in terms of outgoings. But, two kind of really good Premier League quality players that are like finally confirmed, or we're getting closer to that kind of stage. This is a top player that we need in our team. One of the 210s for me. I mean, some people saying he could play at right wing back, but I wouldn't really want to see him there. I think he can play on the inside and on the outside, which is what I think, Ruben's biggest requirement throughout last season was saying a 10 that can go on the inside and go around on the outside as well. Garnacho couldn't really do that. Bruno's not a brilliant, excellent ball carrier, but Mbeumo seems like somebody that can play in the right wing space and a right attacking mid space really, really well and be productive. Has a really, a really well structured game. It's been well organized. Oh, what's a KG? What's good?
Listen, it's just dedicated.
Driving with Kevin.
What is wrong with this guy? I see him pop up in the little screen up underneath me, bumble fucking around, going like this, going like that. He had his seatbelt on, bless him, when he first came on. And now he's disappeared. I mean, it's only. But sorry, Marcel, continue.
No, it's fine. But so yeah, I'm really happy for this. But this is just one of many. I'm expecting 5 or 6 players to walk in the door, and for us to get the signed T-shirt minimum this season. And then more importantly for me, we have to get rid of players. So, but happy that it's finally coming over the line.
KG, why are you in your car?
The person that owns the studio isn't here yet. He left the hard drive for the other pod at home, so he had to go back home. This is just me trying to be dedicated, to be honest.
Fair play.
Well,
You're here.
You're
here.
This is me just trying my best to be dedicated. But yeah,
you're not an Uber driver. You're not an Uber driver. You could just confirm.
No, not at all. Not Uber driver. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I still show up because there's so much to talk about. There's so much.
Yes, have you just seen
Nkunku? What?
No. Forget that, KG. In all of the madness, Manchester United, according to Ben Jacobs and Alex Crook, have just submitted an improved bid for Bryan Mbeumo, £60 million.
Yes!
It's not been accepted yet, bro. We don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we've done a show in the past. Where we did a whole thing about a second bid. Okay.
Look, do you know why I'm going to say I'm excited? Because, they've been talking about this bid for a long time, right? This has been a bid they're not going to put something in unless they're kind of sure it'll be accepted. So they must be aware. They must understand what they want. For them to finally, it's taken weeks. I pray that they do accept and we can deal with this part. With everything that's going on at Man United, this would be something nice for the fans, something nice for the hopes of the future. We need hope right now. You know what I mean? Star Wars sends a new hope. We need something because it's dark. You got players that don't want to leave. You got players that are still doing up the telenovela settings, still just more disrespect. The typical United things are happening. And I'm sick of it. And I would like just some, the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit. So if that happens to be in MBEUMO, I'm taking that.
Dev, I'll go with you next. Positivity. You're usually looking at the bright side of life. Is this a positive step, compared to basically what's happened over the last 24 hours with, I guess, the old United versus what could be the new United?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get onto a certain Instagram post soon.
Yes.
I've got something to say about that. But I think, with MBEUMO, I said this before. I think, the whole team can benefit from what these two will bring. It's not just Prem-proven talent and Prem-proven pedigree, but it's also willing runners, on and off the ball, both in the press and, in manufacturing and fashioning out chances for their team. And just like Marcel said, with ball carrying as well, because that's something we've lacked massively. And that's why it was so easy when you got a somewhat competent defense structure against us. They knew to just go for the people who could carry the ball, and then we just died a death a lot of the time. And this is where, I agree as well. MBEUMO shouldn't be the right wing back. He should be the one furthest forward. And because I think, that frees up a lot of space for the players that will be playing the right wing back role, which could be an Ahmad, which could be a Dorgu, could be a Dallo whenever he's needed. Not saying he's good enough, but I think he'll look better with a bit more space in front of him, because everyone does. But it'll be big, and I think from what I gathered in terms of how significant the outgoings will be, but almost how difficult they're proving with each passing day, with no real fault on Ineos at the moment, because they can't control some of the stuff that's been going out. They just have to firefight it and hopefully get a better deal. But I do think without significant money coming in, that these two might be our marquee ones, like 260 mil players, depending on how it's ratified, depending on how it's spread across installments, whatever. That's how it's going to look. And I think, now is an opportunity to really get some proper depth in the squad, because what we'll have and what we've had for so long is like a decent academy for so long, and then like a first team. But then that middle ground we've always missed for the past 10 to 15 years. We've always missed. So when we do have not lesser opposition, but when we have to look for reinforcements off the bench or go longer in cup competitions, we're either relying on the same people and risking injury, or bringing in people who aren't ready. And last season couldn't be more clear as to how that looks without some of the attacking force that we've had in previous years. So I think it's a great step in the right direction, and if we get them done, it'll be great. But I think it's key that this is true, and I'm really hoping that it is, because we also got the news today that our preseason training starts in about 2 weeks. And if I'm Ruben, I don't want any of the players that we'll get onto later, but I don't want any of them anywhere near the training ground at that point, and they certainly shouldn't be on the plane. So he needs to know who his people are and deal and work with them properly. And MBEUMO and Cunha, I'm sorry, they're going to be two brilliant additions. And said it before, just about to enter their primes. They got a good number of years behind them, and they also come from situations where they still got something to prove. They want to go to Man United and say, I'm the man to do this. I love the story of MBEUMO, where he's come from. Like, the fact we're talking about him coming to United from where he's been, and he was a punt for Brentford, and he's like a sort of a data related punt from them, and now look at how good he's been. So yeah, it's a great step, but we need to just get it ratified, get it done, because if we don't start bucking up our ideas soon in the next 2 weeks, then we're going to be in a bit of trouble. I'm not panic stations yet, but I want to see it get done as soon as possible.
James, what are you saying about it? I mean, do you even believe it to be true and accurate just yet? Is it one of those ones where it's still kind of wait and see? I mean, we know eventually a second bid is going to go in, I suppose. It's just a case of when. But what are your thoughts on it all?
Well, I don't want to necessarily comment yet as to whether true or not in particular, because I don't know, right? So I've sent a couple messages off while we were waiting just to see if I can find out. So maybe during the show I will find out, or maybe somebody else will confirm it or not in that time, but we'll see. But I hope it is, regardless. Obviously, I do hope that it is. One thing that I do know, and I covered this in the last couple of days, is that there were some fairly key meetings occurring at the very highest of levels over the course of this week, and that's normal. Obviously, the owners and executives of a business have a right to get together very regularly on things, but I do think it's important to note that when they do that, sometimes things start to move, sometimes things start to happen because they're obviously discussing what's going on, the plans, the short term, the long term, what we need to do, where's everything at. You're talking about a lot of money, and remember, the money is still controlled by some people hidden deep in the shadows these days in the Glazers, and as anything that is spent still has to be coordinated between them and Sir Jim and Ineos and all of that. So that's always a factor to consider in this. Hopefully things are shaking loose. Hopefully things get accelerated after these couple of days. But I do 100% agree as well. We have to, with players returning in 2 weeks, we have to. Ruben Amorim has to have as close as he can get to his starting 11 for most of preseason if we are going to have a good year. We saw all season how not having time on the training ground was a big part of it. You just don't get that time during the season. If we get into August and we're in these games and they're coming, even though it's not, even though we'll have one a week for a bit, it's still, we can't really afford that kind of slow start. And you got to give the manager the tools. When you brought him in mid-season, set him up to fail, essentially, knowing that he would fail, essentially, knowing that he would lose a lot of games and a lot of support, and it was going to be really difficult, and that you couldn't go spend $100 million in January, then you got to do it in summer, and you've got to give him the tools to succeed. Otherwise, we go into August. How do you know whether Ruben Amorim can do a job or not if you haven't given him the tools and removed the elements that he doesn't want from the dressing room? So things have to move. I think we need 3 in the door by the time they return. Obviously Cunha included in that, but we need 3 in the door by the time they return to get the full experience of what a Ruben Amorim team is going to look like this preseason.
But you already think to yourself though, like the worst case scenario is MBEUMO, Cunha, Xerxes as the attacking as the attacking team, like that's a bit more, that gives me some level of confidence in MBEUMO. Sure. Those guys are goals, really, so hopefully, and if we can go and find these other pieces, yeah, man, but I think that's a great space to build from. You've really you've properly pushed the attacking force with those type of players, and you still think that there's still going to be some level of movement, right? You still feel that there is going to be the other attacker that we go in for, because it's not going to stay like this. When the other domino pieces start to fall, you can imagine that there's going to be someone. You hope now the Jaden thing looks like something could be happening, and then we obviously have to wait for Rashford to find out that Barcelona really don't want him. But yeah, once he understands that message, that could be something as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think again, I'm not going to get too carried away with it and too excited with the MBEUMO, even the bid, because again, I remember I think it was KG, Flex, and myself did a stream for an hour talking about the second bid went in, and then to find out right at the end that it hadn't. So we'll see. We'll see whether or not it's got in. But that's positive. I mean, look, as we get closer to the end of the month as well, heading into July, things are going to start to happen because obviously the financial year stuff. And as we get closer to getting back to preseason, players get off their holidays as well. Sometimes some players are like, well, I'll sort my future out after I get back, from my holiday. I don't even want to focus. I don't even talk about football at the moment.
That happens.
So naturally,
a lot.
Things will start to happen with that. But I think that's positive. And it's positive news after 12, 18 hours of some not so positive news, which of course was the whole Alejandro Garnacho with the post and Rashford with the comment, and then Samuel Lutka saying they don't even like each other.
He has to do
the whole thing. Honestly, it's just this morning when that came up.
Sorry to interrupt you, Owen. What did Lockhart say? Who doesn't like you?
Basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, he said that despite Marcus Rashford putting my brother on the Instagram post, they never socialized outside of team building or team bonding days. In fact, one close source to Rashford described Garnacho as a fucking Ronaldo wannabe, is with the quote that was used.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what everyone said. When it comes to that. KG, I'll start with you. Friday, we did the episode of the Trinity. James joined us.
Yeah.
And you had some stuff to say. You had some stuff to say about Marcus Rashford during that time. Went on a bit of a rant. Does that now extend to Garnacho in addition to Rashford over the developments of the last day or so? How did you feel about it? Or is it not that deep?
So I haven't got serious animosity towards Garnacho, but it's a fuck you to, excuse my language, it's a F you to Amorim, a total, like a super one. And there's been little moments of that. The first one for me was the speech at the end of the final. I thought that was beyond ridiculous, really. Even though he deserved to start, like he had a point, but he just can't make that point. You know, the saying, I've got them this far, how dare they not really start me, is just out of order. Like, there's other players that should have been, Ugarte will be able to say the same thing. Haven't heard a word from him. Why? Because he's a professional. Garnacho, two things can be true at the same time. While he's right, he's wrong about his approach. And he's not changed that. His body language on that postseason tour, these are people that, you have to remember what Man United mean to fans abroad. They stay up late. They get up to watch this team play like losers. No shots on target, like embarrass themselves week in, week out. The least you could do is show up and try and, have a level of, thank you for supporting us despite what's happened. And there wasn't even that level of professionalism. Now, to go on, the people that are saying Man United fans are making a big deal out of it or trying to add the parts of, look at what Ahmad did or look at what Ugarte did. You just have to use common sense and realize there are different messages being told. Now, do I want players in rival team shirts? Probably not. You might have to say a blanket statement now because these people are lacking sense. But to have the Rashford shirt, Aston Villa, back to camera, it's a choice. He knew what he was doing. And worst case, to pack that shirt, take it on holiday, and not even a Man United Rashford shirt, the Aston Villa one. And you know how he ended up at Villa. It was with what happened with you guys before the Man City game. It was a straight up FU. And maybe Amarin could be a bit cuter with his messaging. Like you need to find another fucking club or all this other stuff that's happened. You've seen with Amarim is it hurts Man United with some of the stuff he does. But again, as we say many a times, I've said it today a few times, two things can be true. He's done wrong. He knew what he's doing, and it's an FU to Amarin. I don't think it's to the fans. It's literally to Amarin, but Amarin's representing the club at the moment. So, in a sense, the fans take some of that. But yeah, that's it. Sell him. I don't care.
Has Ruben done anything wrong? In my opinion, I think this man has done everything within the realm of respect and his power to try and shift these footballers in all sense of the fashion. With Rashi, he done the right thing. With Anthony, he's showing the club and the fans at all times, I wanted this footballer out, prepare that work as soon as the window opens. And they haven't done that bit.
While I agree with some of that, but he hasn't earned our undivided trust as well. That's the one thing. It's like we're just believing because of hope and prayer, but he hasn't earned, that where we can say every decision you make, we trust it. Like if he went to sell Kobe now, I'm not going to be happy about it because end of the day, I don't even know if you're going to be here after 10 games, mate. Now, but is there an actual problem with the culture at the club? Absolutely, because he doesn't understand this could have never happened under any big manager. Like Jose wouldn't allow this. LVG wouldn't allow this. Like even forget mentioning Fergie. The big people that have been here before won't allow this. So yeah, it's that simple.
A couple of super chats here. Red Baron says, I've seen some comments saying, well, Amarin won't be here in X amount of games, whilst missing the entire point. why some fans want to get rid of these players. We want culture change. It's bigger than Amorim. Chimudi says, I'm back with the venom. James, that smirk on the Rashford Barca comment. Please let KG know that the Nico stuff and Rash aren't mutually exclusive. I can't wait for James to be able to say all the stories. Are you holding out on us, James? Is there some?
Well, no, I do want to say that. Yeah, I think you might have it a little wrong on that. I mean, we'll see end of the day, because Barcelona have not come in for specifically for Rashford. As we've seen, they've kind of hung around it a bit, but not made a deal. But the Rashford thing is separate to Nico Williams from their reporters. They're not the same deal, and so they still have interest in him. They're still talking to his side. I mean, whether they're playing him or not, I guess we'll see. But from all the sides on their own reports, they're interested in Rashford beyond Nico Williams. As to other stories, that's another day and a time. That's a whole different topic we'll talk about when players are maybe no longer actually Man United players, because I don't think it's fair to get into drama. That's not usually my thing. While people are still around the club, Well,
keeping with you then, with this Garnacho stuff, obviously, you've had some strong words to say about Garnacho in the past. Yeah. What did you make of it all yesterday? Do you agree with what KG's saying, where it's certainly a choice and he knows what he's doing? Because I've seen some people today, and I think this is very sort of the defenders, if you will, but I've seen people go, Ahmad did it. Ahmad wore a Brighton shirt. I've seen people go, Dorgu wore a Roma shirt. It's just it's the same thing, is it not? And is this just double standards?
No, it's not even slightly double standards. Look, Garnacho, a big part of even the original critique come to his social media activities, liking tweets against the manager, things like that. He knows what he's doing. His brother running his mouth 24/7 all over Twitter. He knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. You know what he was doing when he made the comments in the post-match interview. He knows what he's doing. He's not unaware or stupid in that respect of he knows it's not like Garnacho doesn't know the fan sentiment. It's not like Garnacho doesn't know where people sit on this. And he's very, very clearly, I think, putting that kind of a message forward. That's totally clear. Nobody's going to sit there and be offended by a Brighton shirt. Why would we? There's nothing in it. There's no context in it. There's nothing in it. We wouldn't be offended by by Ugarte wearing some random South American team. What on earth could anybody get bothered by? There's a difference. And it's a well-known difference. And and it's like Jadon Sancho commenting freedom. You know what I mean? It's like what is going on here. That people are, and I'm not saying that it's all necessarily right. I'm not going to blame anybody else in this picture besides Garnacho, but he does know what he's doing. He absolutely does. Like KG said, it's a choice. They're not just like wearing a kit, going off doing training. Harry Almas is in a Madrid kit while he's doing training on a pitch. Who cares? You're on vacation. You've packed the Rashford Villa number 9 shirt and you've got the picture posted. You're not training. You're not doing anything. It's just, you wanted a picture of you in a Rashford 9 kit, period. That's it. And you know what you're doing when you do that. People have that. I don't think people are that innocent. They do know when they do things like that.
No,
I disagree.
I'm sorry, they all know. Like I said this last time when I was talking about his entourage as well. Like, how important is it for the people, like, to be successful? Is it the people that you keep? And I said this last time when it comes to his brother, when it comes to whoever his agent is, maybe it's a mix of his brother or whatever. I don't like it because all these people, he's growing up way too quickly in his personal life that is now dripping over into his professional. We've seen it with so many athletes down the years, and these hangers-on are now influencing decisions or even egging him on or finding it funny, or they could think of the decision, or he's really just the wrong and he's the ringleader behind it all. Whatever it is, get it out. And I say, like, I always say this, right? Like, it's a bit of a weird like comparison, but bear with me. Like, when people cheat or when someone cheats on someone else, it's not a mistake. It's a series of mistakes. Like, you didn't just do one little smooch. You did a hug, you did a smooch, and you did one or few more things as well. You didn't just do something over the course of a few seconds. You did it for maybe an hour or however long you last. Like, do you know what I mean? You're making constant.
Now it's impressive, mate.
You're making, oh, Lord, all right.
Maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah,
hear what I'm saying. Like, I think that, like, you're making conscious decisions every single time. So you haven't just made one mistake, you've made multiple. So in this scenario, I'm saying, like you guys have said, pack in the shirt. He's planning what he's doing. Every single picture that's been taken, he's probably taken a few different poses. He's probably in his camera roll looking at loads of options for what he's going to post. He hasn't just, unless he's weird, he hasn't just posted one and be like, yeah, that's going on Instagram. He's probably like, is the lighting right? He waited till sunset. He waited till the cars were there. He waited till it's very clear. Like, he's not an idiot. He's not an idiot. And I think people are giving him too much credit if they think it was a happy accident. And all these players that we're mentioning, whether it was Dorgu or Ugarte or Ahmad one, there's no context to it. It's just wearing a nice shirt of another team where we have no dramas with. And also, it's not the back. There's no name on it. If you're wearing like a classic shirt, then cool, you'll show a name, no one cares. But no, that's not the way that it works. The man wore the shirt of a person who just came out 2-3 days ago and said, I'd love to play with Lamine Yamal. You're still earning from us, you cheeky little... How can you say that? I don't care if you actually think Yamal's the best or you'd love to play with him. It's giving what Lukaku said when he said he wants to go back to Inter when he was at Chelsea. It's giving freedom. All these things that we said is diabolical. You cannot do or say these things. Rashford, how dare you, when you're earning 350k a week from this club and doing nothing, and then saying that is ridiculous, and then seeing someone first of all, seeing someone outwardly support you at that time and liking the message, which he did with Jadon Sancho, remembering you're on loan and you're going to come back and we're still paying a portion of your wages. And then he does it with this, saying my brother on Garnacho's, when I don't care how close they are. But bro, you're still employed. Unless I'm missing something and maybe we'll come out in the ether that he's not employed anymore and there's a big story coming. How dare you do that? And Garnacho, bro, you think you're too good for yourself, mate. And this has happened so many times with loads of players down the years, and we don't even need to get into, the Ruud van Nistelrooys or the Stams or the Beckhams. We all know the story. But I do liken it back to when Aubameyang had to leave Arsenal, because it's more of a similarity in terms of timings and in terms of situation. Like, that's Mikel Arteta. Like, I don't want to give Arsenal much credit ever, but in your first job, you look at your biggest earner who's wearing Thierry Henry's number and saying, you're disrespecting the club, get out. And he got him out. I think we're not in a position to do what they did and pay him off and get rid of the contracts, whatever. But that's what you have to do. And I'm sorry, Garnacho, you think you're too good for that sort of treatment. Like, you're a good player. You're a good young player. You haven't performed this year, but you performed over the past two, whatever. But we are the reason also why anyone knows who Garnacho is. It's not like he made us. We did that for him. We gave him the platform. We did that for him. So I don't, this whole thing about it, as you can tell, I physically cannot take when someone disrespects the club, because like KG was saying, like, do fans have a right to be annoyed and all this? It's personal, because the club is personal. It's our club. Don't disrespect us like that. We wouldn't take it from anyone down the pub or anyone we know. Why should we take it from our own player? Nah, it's disrespect, and he needs to go. And once he does, he's going to be one of the circuses there's 3 circuses that need to leave, and we all know who they are. And they're all weirdly intertwined with one another. And it's just weird. Like, I'm going to be happy when they go. And I hate that it's come to this, but now that it has, through no fault of their own, get them gone. Like, I don't like it.
Marcel, what did you make of it all with the picture and the reaction?
I don't care. I've already decided where my heart lies with these types of players. They needed to be business and meditation on these subjects needed to happen months ago. Like, it really did. That's why I gave KG the question, because my manager had already been showing you in months in advance that these footballers were surplus to requirements. He showed you guys that he didn't play one footballer in a final. He said he was rather suffer with less attackers in January than keep some of the footballers that we're speaking about at the football club. What more signs do you need without saying this one's rubbish, this one's expletive, this one's expletive? You don't need to do that. What you do is, through the actions, you remove them through the selective squad that you use week in, week out, and then you go forward in that trajectory. So the board that is supporting this man needs to now make the ultimate action, which is get them out by any means necessary. Devs has articulated it really well. And then even last show, Devs was talking about the creative ways of purchasing players. I'm now asking about the creative ways of selling footballers. That has got to be the ultimate thing that we do in this window. Otherwise, we're going to suffer again, because we've got a manager that is utilizing footballers that shouldn't really be there or have the wrong kind of culture, the wrong kind of mentality and mindset. I would happily take a £15 million less money if that means another football club is going to pay full amount of wages for a player. I will happily take less money if it means more clubs are coming towards the table. Why are Ineos not offering footballers to other football clubs at lesser prices or prices that rid them from the squad? It's the most important thing when it comes to squad building, having footballers that actually are all on the same song sheet and all on the same hymn sheet. So get rid of those that are not immediately and at a cut price. I really do not care now. We've been suffering in that kind of way for so long. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
A couple more super chats here. Red Baron says, if Garnacho wore an Arsenal shirt, KG, with Welbeck.
Listen, but you can tell where we are with these players, man. I'm not gonna. It doesn't even matter no more. I could see Rashford go to Arsenal. I don't care anymore. Like, we're past that stage where we touch 15th, and the club needs to worry about the club, and the people that are not a part of it. It does not matter anymore. All the song and dancer before, like, is a big wake-up call. I think the last season was the wake-up call that maybe the club needed, the hard reset, and we're finally here. Lindelof's gone, Rashford's gone, Sancho's about to go, prayerfully. Garnacho's going. So now you're talking about, if you're going to talk about resetting the culture and finally becoming one of this team, well, we're doing it now. Let's see what happens.
Kyle says, and this is usually the thing for all of this. It's the same with the Bruno stuff before, whatever. So you guys want Garnacho to respect the fans in the club. Did we finish 15th because of Garnacho?
Partially.
Part of the problem. He's part of the problem, and
aren't they all? That's why they need to be respectful.
And
every one of them.
It's never one player, is it?
No,
it's like for good or for bad.
But those two don't link. Like, how does Nacho respect, like, getting Garnacho to respect the club, and then where we finish? Like, he's the one who can influence that. We can't influence that, and we respect you for giving it your all and to not disrespect us. He hasn't done that. He's decided to disrespect us and finish 15th. If anything, the disrespect hurts more, given that he was part of the team that finished that way. Like, there's no self-awareness with the boy whatsoever at all.
George says, we will buy your BMW as soon as we sell our Nissan Micra. I always said this would be our transfer window. Ineos didn't find a solution, and I was expecting more from them when they said on TV we had a solid strategy plan, etc. But is it still... when it goes back to, is it still a bit too early to be twitchy like that? I mean, the PSR window is the 30th of June. Everyone's waiting.
Look at last summer. Nobody did business before the 30th. Now you got big clubs like Liverpool and City who have just buckets of money. They didn't even spend last summer. Just bear that in mind. They spent nothing last summer. They bought one player. Chiesa was like the only guy Liverpool bought.
13 million as well. Like.
Yeah, like, they spent nothing last summer, so they have money to spend. They're spending last summer's budget before July 1st. Most teams don't have much money to spend until after July 1st, and so it's just too early. But they do have to move. I mean, I think we all agree on that. They got to move once we get in close to preseason, but it is still early.
Yeah, we need to sell these Nissan Micras. We need to sell them.
Yeah, we do that.
We need to keep a price. Put them at Skoda price and get them gone. Sell them. We have so many Micras, so just sell them and build up to that BMW money, please.
Red Barrett says, if I wore the uniform of another competitor's
there's
company...
a story for you. There's a story for you. You want to get to it? From the Telegraph, from a Chelsea source, talking about an Nkunku Garnacho swap. Since we're on the subject of selling the Micros.
We were going to talk about Nkunku. Yes, so let's get through the super chats and we'll go to that. Red Baron says, if I wore the uniform of another competitor's company I work for and it was shared, I would be sacked. Red Devils 99 says, KG, what's the news from Dharmashev? Eminem says, not gonna lie, I had other issues with Rashford's comments, but everyone wants to play with the best. Is that really an issue? Fans are actively complaining on why he's still here, then cry. Dwayne says, we forgetting one sneaky criminal, Luke the fraud. Nesta 11 has been a member for 23 months, says, hey guys, I want a jersey from the giveaway, but I've never received it or replied to my emails, messages on Insta. How can I get the kit? Well, they should have. Josh, if you're watching, that's you. You do it. He has access to the email. So I don't even have access to email. So the web fear, it's been running for 24 months, says, I do think Garnacho needs to be gone, but it's a double message. And this him twerking for Villa, not getting Rashi permanent. Asensio left, maybe it's high Villa. I think, again, it's just very calculated. Yeah, so what James was alluding to was a possibility of maybe a Man United, Chelsea swap, Nkunku for possibly Alejandro Garnacho. In addition to that, there were reports coming out today from France that suggest that Manchester United were interested in Christopher Nkunku. It's not the first time we've been linked to him. Of course, we were linked to him in January. We were linked to him last summer for potential loan deals. KG, I'll start with you. How would you feel about that? I mean, with a swap deal as well, someone young, like how is that? You know, how's that going to be? I mean,
I don't think even in the article it probably wouldn't be a swap. It'd be a sale and a sale type of thing.
It might be a sale and a sale for But it's basically Matt Law says Chelsea and Man United weigh up deals for Nkunku and Garnacho to move in opposite directions. Chelsea also in talks over Gittings, with Borussia meeting expected to take place in the US during the Club World Cup. Obviously, that's separate, but it would imply maybe it's not a swap. It might just be they're two separate deals that they work on whilst they're just having these discussions. But thoughts on them both, I guess.
Look, we're Loophole FC, working with Loophole FC, and I don't know what they're thinking, but I can imagine the Garnacho thing has definitely changed the direction of how they was going to solve situations. Because there was that thing about time being a healer. Wherever time was a healer before, let's say with the Garnacho thing, it's just they're back to phase one again in terms of their relationship. So now Garnacho almost robbed them of saying, hey, we can just fix it on the 7th of July. So now we have to be creative. And this could be one of the creative things. Am I excited about Nkunku? Absolutely not. Flex was speaking about him before, saying, he's this, he could be that. I've never seen it. I've never watched this person play and thought, need you at Man United. Never. Like at one point in my life, thought, really like that Nkunku player. So then do you end up having a similarity of where you got MBEUMO, you got Cunha and Nkunku? What does that look like? What's the plan with that? It doesn't, I don't know how it fits. It just doesn't work for me personally. I don't see how it benefits Man United. We can play other players other than him. I'll try something else than bringing in Nkunku personally.
I'll tell you now, it's not happening. I will put my neck out on the line and say it won't happen, just because it stinks of that MBEUMO to Spurs type lazy journalism that we discussed like a few weeks back, where manager's gone over there, he's still in London, he could go there too, yada yada yada. Boring. Like look at the brass tacks. This is a 27-year-old player who's had a major injury in the past 2 years, who's come off 20. I think I just checked 27 games, 3 goals. That's less than Garnacho. So we're going to trade a player that is 7 years younger, with more promise, definitely more ability, and more Premier League experience, more solid Premier League experience, for a player that can't even get into a Chelsea team that don't even know what their front line looks like. He could have been a centre forward when Nicholas Jackson was out. He tried it, wasn't good enough. Nah, never going to happen. I think it's just they've seen the Garnacho thing. They knew that Chelsea kind of wanted Garnacho, even though they've looked at other targets now. I think Bino Gittins is probably the closest from what I've seen, and I think if we're going to go for anyone in this list, go for him over Nkunku. But no, it's just not going to happen. I think it's lazy. I think Nkunku is probably going to leave Chelsea, but I think he'll leave the Premier League. I just don't think it suits him. Bless him. He's tried, and it happens to a lot of players, but I just don't think physically he's up for the Prem.
Yeah, just on this, so the article says Chelsea and Man United are weighing up the possibility of trying to send Christopher Nkunku and Alejandro Garnacho in opposite directions this summer. Nkunku and Garnacho both want to quit their respective clubs, and the prospect of them trading places has not been ruled out, although there is no expectation of a swap deal being negotiated. Separate transfers involving Nkunku and Garnacho moving in opposite directions would solve headaches for both United and Chelsea, but the clubs are yet to hold direct talks on the matter this summer. So, I mean, James, that does sound a bit like a nothing burger, doesn't it? Whereby they're saying, well, this theoretically could happen.
Everyone's thinking about it, yeah. Well, we thought about this in January as well. This was a topic in January. So, I think that there's a reality in it being a thought. It should be certainly noted that if anybody, Christopher Vell would know Nkunku very, very well in terms of the type of player he is and what to make of him, given that he certainly was there, I think, when they brought him to Chelsea, and he was there with him at Leipzig at one point. So on both occasions, you would know him quite well. I wouldn't 100% rule these things out when these things happen, but the way I look at it is more like this. It's going to be hard to shift Garnacho. I think that is a problem. It mentions Villa in there, who are one that I'm still keeping in the back of my mind as if they figure out how to get some money in the door, that they'll be interested in him because they wanted a player like him. They wanted Rashford, but they're not getting Rashford. So, Garnacho might be an option for them. But I think of it more like, could it solve a problem where we take him on loan? Because that's what was being discussed by us in January. From what I recall, United were looking at a loan, not a purchase at the time, something that's lower risk. Could it solve a problem? Take the player on loan. It gives Chelsea a little bit of space, a little bit of money. Maybe he gets some minutes. Maybe there's an option in there. And then that frees them up and they buy Garnacho and it gets that off our hands. And from a PSR perspective, huge benefit to us just to sell Garnacho. That's kind of how I look at it. Unfortunately, it's a bit of an accounting way of looking at it. But would I take Nkunku on a loan if it helped us sell Garnacho? Yeah, I would do it. I'm not saying it's the ideal circumstance, but I would do it in that respect. And it might be one of the only ways we get a deal done. And I think we have to be open to some things like that. That's probably what the thinking is. Not saying that there's even a good chance of it, but that's what the thinking is. But I do know in January they really didn't want to buy him. They really wanted at most a loan with an option for Nkunku, and that's why it didn't go anywhere back then as well.
Marcel, what are you saying about this one? Nkunku and Garnacho, separate deals, not a swap. Would you be open to Nkunku at Old Trafford? I mean, I suppose maybe ticks a box in the sense of he can play up front, can play in the 10, so he can play in those positions that Ruben likes. What do you think about it?
I mean, before his big injuries, like Dev's mentioned, he would look to a really good player at Leipzig. Obviously, I haven't seen him enough in the Premier League and hasn't really been able to make his mark, simply because Chelsea buy so many footballers and he's had a few horrible injuries, hard to build form. But I don't like the player overall as well, for similar sentiment that KG has, really. I've never really looked at the player and said, I need him at Manchester United Football Club, or this is going to be an amazing player at the football club. And we've already got kind of Xerxes that can play the false 9 type position, which is what Nkunku kind of played for a period of time and was kind of like a forward but could drop into the 10 spaces. I need a focal point 9. I would rather go into the free market than get an Nkunku. Jonathan David is around, and just in general, as Manchester United Football Club, we need to go into the free market then, and the loan market this summer to get more players in. If it's out very, very necessary anyway. For me, I think that's another avenue that we need to go down, because I'm not liking what I'm seeing right now. Everyone's really bringing it to the front of my attention that it's 2 weeks until preseason starts, and Ruben made it adamantly clear that he needs a preseason to teach the players the systems, the patterns, the rhythm, the rotations of position and the movements within the team. And if he doesn't have his full squad, it's a hindrance. So I need players to go out and I need players to come in immediately within the next 2 weeks. I should be hearing from Sir Jim as well in the next 3 weeks or so, just so that we're getting regular communication. It needs to happen.
I tell you now, Marcel, if after last week you said we need to hear from Omar Barada, then a day later, Omar Barada came out and said something. If Sir Jim, an interview drops with him, tomorrow or something.
Now, there's a chance of that, because we've got this new training ground opening up in a week, and I almost expect he'll do something about that, because the whole revamped Carrington's supposed to be ready for them returning in 2 weeks. So I kind of think there might be some words that come out about that too. So you might be right, Marcel, in the end.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how that revamp looks, by the way, because some of the renders look amazing.
Yeah.
A couple more super chats here. Mav says, see how much Barca will pay him a week and sell him for £1. Do the same with Sancho. Nick says, how reliable is Ben Jacobs and how is Kwanzaa going for the same potential price of Garnacho? We just sell our players cheap all the time. Wow. I mean, Eric Ten Hag still gets us, doesn't he? Gets all of that money. Florian Wirtz, Jerome Frimpong, by a Liverpool player. Pure profit, mate. Ugh. I don't know.
That hurts.
I don't know. It does. Yeah. It's nasty. It's nasty stuff. Dwayne says, Nkunku is a black mount, bro. 3 to 5 games, and then he's injured.
I was gonna ask, like, what if we loan Mount out
Oh yeah, all day
and
long.
bring Nkunku in?
Nah, I'd rather keep Mount.
Nah.
You rather Nkunku is much better than Mount
Yeah,
for this
much
system,
better.
by the way. I mean, much better for it if he can play. But
Yeah, shit. We need a striker, bro. We need a striker.
I think he's a 10. I think he's a 10, not a 9. In
I'm
the
not
system.
doing that ever again. We're not. Chelsea can't keep doing this to us. Then it's like, I don't know what we've agreed with them in the past, like these backhand deals, because that's ridiculous. I'd rather go, like, we might as well just beg them for Liam Delap and say we're so sorry, like, please just, because that's nonsense. The whole thought of
Try to do a John A.B. McHale.
I'd rather there's so many things before I get to Nkunku. I'd try so many other things before we decide he's the man to lead the line. Get out of here. No way.
But I don't think it would be that. I think literally the only reason this would be considered is it would allow us to potentially sell Alejandro Garnacho for, like, we're not buying Nkunku if they're not buying Garnacho. Understand, like, that it's just not going to happen any other way. But would you rather Garnacho stay versus get 40-50 million in the door for him and take a loan of someone like Nkunku? Because I know what my answer is on that pretty clear. And I understand,
a loan on
like,
Nkunku is different than that's a different conversation altogether. I thought you're saying buy Nkunku.
No.
I wouldn't buy him. I would not do any. I wouldn't commit any money on long.
If they cover his wages, then I'd think about it. But until
I would do a loan and an option and be okay with it. I mean,
that option ain't good. That option's gonna be like the Sancho option.
Yeah,
we have no.
I was gonna say options. Yeah,
involving Chelsea. Do one in reverse. Give us a cancellation clause.
Kyle says, so Garnacho must influence us winning, but not Amorim. So then why must we get rid of Garnacho?
He's on the pitch.
And this, I mentioned this morning. Yeah, this is why I hate this stuff. This is why with the Garnacho stuff, with the Rashford stuff, with the Sancho stuff, with Anthony stuff, like, because it always leads to like that super chat. No disrespect, Kyle, but because then it gets into taking sides. It's not Rashford's fault. It's this person. Man United try to sell him first. No, it's that's Ruben Amorim. No, it wasn't Sancho's fault. It was Ten Hag said that thing, and so I'm team Sancho over this, or I'm not team Man United over this, or Anthony. No, he's just been put. You can't play him wing, but he's been in the 10. I'm just tired of it. I'm like, look at someone made an example this morning. It's so true, so true. Look at what happened with Trent in Liverpool, right? Liverpool fans lost their mind because that's a circus to them. They're like, that is crazy. One of their own doing that. Oh, he was definitely learning Spanish for months, not a week or two. It was for months. And they get all twisted up about it. We look at that as United fans go, we deal with that every season, multiple times in a season. Like, we're not even talking about like Rashford and Sancho and Garnacho now. We did it with Ronaldo. We did it with De Gea. We do it every season with something. There's always a drama. So, like, with this now, I don't care, like, what side people are on, whether you're pro Garnacho, pro Rashford, pro United, whatever. How can we move forward when we're constantly looking back? How can we do that? And we just dwell on it. It's just so, I don't know, I'm tired. I'm just tired. You know what I mean? It's tiring. Nick says, any news on Ludin or Hackney, or will it be a late deal? Any news? No? Late deal? Anything can happen in the transfer market.
Maybe later.
JJ says, I will rather start Maguire at 9 for a season than Nkunku.
Absolutely.
Well, that's silly though, Casey, isn't it, really?
That's how silly it is. That's how silly I find the transfer.
You'd rather start Harry Maguire in the 9 than loan Christopher Nkunku for a season.
Which says I would not want Nkunku anywhere near this club.
Okay. Wow.
With our medical staff.
With our medical staff.
He only had one injury last year. He only missed like 5 days.
Not with us, though. You know he's going to sit on the bench too hard and he'll just like...
With our medical staff is all I'm going to say. That's all.
We got the Brails for juice. You notice everybody came back early end of the season. We got the juice now. Got the
Yeah.
juicer.
All it is a friend for Luke Shaw, an emotional support friend for Luke Shaw to spend the whole season
What, to
with.
hold his hand.
Yeah, emotional support for Luke Shaw. That's all it's going to be.
Oh my god. Nestor 11 says, just Josh, media graphics guru Vision Ninja, please don't let me down. Yeah, Josh, you can get onto that email and see Nestor. And if you haven't, just send a new one, Nestor, unitedviewtv@gmail.com, and you can we shall sort out your shirt as well. Where are we at in terms of likes? We're close to 1,900 people watching, which is fantastic. We're 20 likes away from 500. We can get higher. If you haven't already, click the like button. Let's see if we can get to 500, 750, 1K. You know how it goes. And JJ says Maguire has more league goals than Nkunku. Well, he's played in England a lot
Please
longer,
don't
hasn't he?
say that's the truth.
This season, has he got more? That's mad.
Well, this season or just in general?
Well, Nkunku's only got 3, so it's not that.
Maguire only had one this season in the Premier League.
One in the league. Ooh.
Yeah.
Maguire's got more than Nkunku.
Oh, what a world.
No way.
Stats based. You know, stats based. But is that the reason why KG that your stats were
Well,
behind
you
that
know,
one?
number 9 for Maguire up front, innit? Before anything.
Kyle says, Owen, I'm not picking sides, Owen. I'm asking why the player's failure, but no the manager, because they're not talking about the manager. They're talking about the player in this instance. This is what I go back to. Whenever we did this last season all the time, when you're talking about Bruno, why aren't you talking about Xerxes? When you're talking about Xerxes, why aren't you talking about Højlund? Or if you talk about Højlund, why aren't you talking about Onana? Because it's like the fucking Spider-Man meme, isn't it? Everyone just points at each other without addressing anything. They'll just point at each other. So when we're talking about Garnacho, because Garnacho did a post, if your first reaction is, what about Amrim? I'd go, who even said his name? No one said his name. Amrim didn't do the post. Garnacho did the post. Therefore, you're talking about Garnacho, or you're talking about Rashford because he commented on the post, or you're talking about whatever players commented on the post. It's just, if the first reaction is what about someone else, that is the definition of lacking accountability, isn't it? It's not my fault, it's theirs. You know, and that's what we need to get out of it. It's not to say that Ruben Amorim hasn't done well so far. He hasn't. He won like 6 Premier League games. But Alejandro Garnacho, he had a responsibility, like the panel said, in performing poorly last season too. George N says that I'm selling too many micros. I know it's early, but if the huge revamp is Cunha, MBEUMO, and a striker, and not all of them turn out to be wildies, we are in serious trouble. I'm talking nuclear trouble. I mean, when we get into the sort of pre-season ahead, obviously the report today, it was confirmed today, wasn't it, that we're back on 7th of July, I think it is. So pre-season's just around the corner. You know, we're ready to get hurt all over again. Actual pre-season games start on, is that like 14th of July? I think it is the one against Leeds. Yeah, with Leeds.
Please win.
Just look what I was going to say. Looking ahead to that, how are we all feeling about preseason? Because it's been a nice few weeks without having to actually watch the team play results.
Please,
I mean, how important are results going to be actually in that preseason? More so than usual.
The Leeds one is a bit. That's the one in Stockholm, isn't it? So that's not the start of. Is that the start of the US tour? I don't know.
That's the start of preseason.
The US tour later.
They
isn't
fly
it?
out like on the 21st or 2nd.
Oh, okay. So I'd more look at that because then I think we'd know who's on the plane, we know who's in the plans, and we'll have a bit of a look in. I think that, to be honest, the Leeds one is just a bit of a cash grab. By the looks
No. Leeds is not a casual game to Leeds at all.
No, cash grab. I said I'm not a casual, but like I think.
Oh, but that's a big game. That's Leeds
of
will come. Leeds are turning up to that game serious. Like there's not going to be no effing around. We got to make sure that they're looking at, that's a derby for them. Preseason, they won't even see it as a preseason derby. It's Man United versus Leeds. Those Leeds fans are locked in. Those Leeds players should understand what the game's about. Hopefully our players are clued up to realize we're not losing this game.
I agree. I've said this a lot over the last few months, but particularly after the moment that Europa League final ended, and I'm not even a big believer in results. Results don't matter in preseason. Performances matter a bit, but it's largely about fitness. I do this thing every year here on United Viewer preseason, but this time I'm flip-flopping because if we don't win the vast majority of those preseason games, people are going to go crazy. Like They will, because it will be, the negativity will be straight back. It'll be, well, nothing's obviously changed. It's just, and to KG's point, if the first time we've seen United play in like 5-6 weeks, however long it is by that point, as Leeds in Sweden, and we lose, you just know what the reaction is going to be. Regardless of how good our team was that we put out or how strong theirs was,
Don't you guys feel a little optimistic? Don't you guys feel a little bit optimistic though? You remember the game in Hong Kong? Was it right? It was in Hong Kong, was it? I get it. The second one, right? In the postseason tour.
We did talk about the first one. Yeah.
It was a lot better. The second one was a lot better. With some of those players. I feel like there's a number of players who really kicked on as we kind of got going, and we started to see it. We started to see it against Villa a bit as well. We started to see it, barring the Europa final. I think we're actually going to be better in preseason. I think we're going to show up looking pretty decent with a couple of new players coming in. But I actually feel quite optimistic because I think he's figured out who he wants to use and who he doesn't, and we won't have certain people around. But I don't know. I remember that second half against Hong Kong, how a lot of those, like in Hong Kong, I should say, how a lot of those players played.
It was against Hong Kong, wasn't it?
James.
Was it? I don't remember.
Yeah, it's a national team.
Yeah. Okay.
James, you missed the club, innit?
What's that?
You missed the club. This is someone that misses the club, and you've forgotten.
No, the thing is, I always prefer watching United to not watching United. I always do. No matter what's going on, I always do. But there was an energy in that second half of that game with certain people, and they were really nice. They were really nice, and I thought that they really showed up. And I'm excited to see some of them.
You know what though? Give me MBEUMO in that time, and give me a first start for Cunyon and MBEUMO. Then I'm like, all right,
I'm happy. I will enjoy the shit
I
out
keep
of that
saying
game.
yeah, exactly. And I keep saying like those two additions, it's not going to fix everything. I think it will just make a lot of our problems not go away, but they'll mitigate a lot of them. Like two massive runners in the team with like good pedigree, good striking ability, and additional attacking threat. It would just be quite nice. But I would like to see, and it goes back to my point last week that Marcel brought up, I still want to see some more creativity in the window. I want to see some cute signings. Do you know what I mean? Like not the 60 mil here and there, yeah, great, but give me a little 10 mil there, 15 mil, 20. Like I want to see some cuteness now. Like if you give me those two players plus one cute signing between now and then, I'd feel quite happy. Other than that, I'm just like, all right, Leeds are going to want it more, like KG said. They're going to want it more. It's going to mean more to them. It just will, because they're up from the championship. Like, they've got nothing to lose. So they're going to want it a whole lot more than we do.
I shouldn't even be saying, I'm ready to sacrifice the West Ham result in America for the Leeds one.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care about any of the games.
Just
none of the games matter in
preseason. Understand what it is. That's the vibe. That's what that game means.
I would like to smash Leeds, to be fair. Like, there's
none of them.
None of the games matter, guys. Just I hope you guys always realize that. The only game I care about is the last one. The very last one. I think it's usually at Old Trafford in preparation for the war that we have. The war that we have.
David De Gea's there, Marcel.
Oh, I can't wait to tell him how rubbish he is. But the war that we have against Arsenal is way more important for me. So for me, that's the only game that matters. We're going to have players still coming into the squad, hopefully, when West Ham's around, Leeds and the likes of these. We're going to have we're going to have still players coming in and out the squad and hopefully, ability to make a couple cute signings and some clever signings. So for me, none of those games matter. It's the very last one at Old Trafford, feeling the ambience, feeling the expectation and giving a good performance in preparation for the game that we must win and should be a win against Arsenal Football Club, first game of the season.
Just very quickly, I didn't think we were going to get this summer, but we've got it. We've got it. It happens every single transfer window. The Casemiro to Saudi rumor. Yes. If you had that on your bingo sheet, tick it off. Tick it off. Every single window, you get the Casemiro to Saudi rumor. Now there's some. I think it's Saudi newspapers. Hamza saying that Al Nassr are close to signing Casemiro. Also, tell the board to switch Nkunku to Santos. And Bobby G says, is anyone else numb to this or is it just me? Yes.
There has been a separate confirmation of the second bid, by the way, that just happened.
Ooh,
Nathan Salt at the Daily Mail says that there has been a second bid placed this time.
There you go. So it's real. It's real. So
It's real.
unlike the last time, we're ending the show with an actual bid. Wasn't no slight amendments this time round. A real bid. We also got Casemiro maybe going to Saudi, to Al Nassr, to join up with Cristiano. I tell you what, that is one that I will believe it when I see it. It happens every single window that Casemiro is going to Saudi. Cristiano Ronaldo personally asked for him. We will see. We will see. And look, he did well at the end of the season, but if we can get him off the wage bill, great. Would love that too. We shall see. So there you go, jam-packed show, folks. Where did we end up in terms of likes? We ended up at 568. Let's see if we can get a 600, 750 on the way out. Be sure to subscribe as well to United View and everyone's channels. Muppeteers links in the video description. Devs is in the video description. KG Reckless Sports is in the video description. Marcel socials are in the video description as well. He does have a channel though. He does have a channel and subscribers, just no videos.
Whoa.
I think that's.
Oh shit, that's good.
Yeah,
Thank you, KG. Thank you.
Yeah, you are Marcel. That's what it is. Yeah, go and subscribe. He can become one of these famous YouTubers that never ever uploads anything ever. He'd just be one of those ones. It's constant. Just subscribers through the roof. Glenn C says, if we win all our preseason games, our fans will be singing Premier League Super Series champions. You'll never, really loud. Premier League Super Series champions. You'll never sing that. And DRZ says, hi guys. Phil Allen Iverson's quote here is a miss. Practice, really? You're talking about practice. That's a basketball thing, right? That's a basketball thing. Yeah. See? Keep up to date with it all. So there you go, guys. We'll be back same time next week for the red carpet, 7 p.m. Tomorrow morning, transfer view with myself and Flex. Flex will be back. He will be returning. So he'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. And isn't it Flex and KG tomorrow at 7 p.m.? KG the comedian?
I hope so.
There you go. Confirmation from KG the comedian. Excellent stuff.
Yeah.
All right, nice one. We're out of here. Have a good one. Peace.